CCP virus mutations? Can our vaccines combat this? My name's David English, this is the English channel. Let's dive in and have a look. Hi folks, welcome back to another episode. A couple of days ago I got to sit down and talk with ex-military microbiologist Sean Lin. Join me for part one of our really interesting and thought-provoking interview where we dive into the CCP virus, its mutations and what we can do with our vaccines. Hi Sean, wonderful to have you here.
Hey David, very nice to join your program.
Before we get into what we're going to talk about with the virus, which is really interesting, could you just give our viewers, the ones who don't know you, a little bit of background about yourself and how you got where you are today?
All right. So my name is Sean Lin. My Chinese name is Xiaoxu. English name is Sean. I grew up in Fuzhou, in Fujian province in China. Graduated from Zhejiang University near Shanghai in Hangzhou City. And then I came to the United States for graduate studies. And then I had a chance to work in with the independent media, NTT TV, Sun Hope, for several years in the 2000s. Then later I joined U.S. military as a microbiologist, as an enlisted soldier first, and then as a military officer for several years. And so I left the military at the end of the 2019. And so right now, I'm still dedicated to media work again. So it's an interesting, different turn on my life experience.
That's quite a background.
Yes.
What prompted you to join the military?
So at the time, that was around 2008, 2009, and I was thinking that we still want to use our education knowledge. In here I mentioned about we because my wife and I, we both actually changed our career to work as independent media after the Chinese government started persecution of Falun Gong. So she was a PhD in industrial engineering. She graduated from Georgia Tech, and I was actually doing postdoc in Emory. And at the time, we know the Chinese government has been pushing a very heavy propaganda, disinformation campaign, not only in China, but to overseas Chinese as well. So even though we were all in Atlanta at the time, but we decided to go to New York to support the independent media for a while. And so we left our career. So after 4 or 5 years, so I feel I want to try back on the microbiology career again. And so when I was looking for a job, I found that the military was recruiting medical talent. And that's how I joined the military.
Man, that's interesting. That's a really interesting story.
Yeah, actually it's a good question because I had to become enlist soldier first because I need to get my citizenship first. So, before joining the military, I was actually political asylee because my wife and I, we went back to China in 2000s, and then both of us got detained in China because we practiced Falun Gong. So fortunately, both of us got rescued back because of our mentors in the graduate school stepped forward to help us, and our friends in our cities campaign, collect signatures, and then present it to our local congressmen, senators, and then the United States Department of State actually intervened. They contact China's ministries of foreign affairs. And so, the pressure pushed on from the central government. So the local province decided to release us. So, we were fortunate to get rescued back. We're probably the earliest successful rescue case after the persecution of Falun Gong.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's really you must really value liberty then.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you lost your freedom, and you definitely realize how important it is. Yeah.
The reason I wanted to get you on the show was I watched a couple of your videos. the coronavirus, and obviously you being a microbiologist, you have a particular view on this, and I found them really interesting. And it wasn't a view I'd heard anywhere else. So before we jump into that, do you want to just give us your overview of the pandemic and what it is and how we got where we are?
So yeah, definitely the topic of COVID has been dominating the media for more than a year now. And I think people present it from so many different angles. And if you want me to give a overview, I would say the virus has using a very, very cunning, or you can say smart strategy in the last year to spread out in the world. Basically, I describe it as a trilogy. So first, the virus outbreak in Wuhan, and due to Chinese government's cover up, right? So the virus spread out widely in China as well to different parts of the world. So this very important initial stage, the virus has, you can say the virus quickly gained a very large footprint in the whole world. So the virus had a great opportunity to test its different mutations in different populations, and then they identify mutations like D614G, which can grow much faster, transmit faster in the human population. So this mutation is in the spike protein of the virus, and the position is 614, and it's from aspartic acid to glycine. So this simple amino acid mutation can render higher transmissibility for the virus, and these mutant strain become dominant by the end of April and May, and become dominant in many different continents. So virus have a stronger mutant and spread out widely in the world. So the next step, the virus is trying to identify immune escape mutants. Because this virus, the SARS-CoV is a RNA virus. It mutates all the time, but not all mutations benefit the virus. And so a lot of time the mutation maybe cause the virus lose its replication capability. So those mutants naturally will be shifted out, and what is accumulated mutation will be meaningful for the virus. So during this process, the virus try to identify ideal population like immune compromised person, and so they can modify higher titers in those populations, right? And then they try to find a way to escape the immune system. So especially in the United Kingdoms and South Africa, the problem is that the mutants emerged from those immune compromised persons. So those people were actually undertaking convalescent plasma treatment as well as anti-drug treatment like remdesivir. So let's imagine this situation. So you are in the situation, your own immune system is very weak. The virus propagated in a high level for a long time. So the virus quasi-species in these kind of immune compromised persons is a huge pool, quite a variety, right? So under this situation, if you put the pressure of convalescent plasma as well as antivirus drug, right? So the virus have a large pool of mutation to select which one can escape under this huge pressure. So in United Kingdoms and in South Africa, those immune escape mutant emerge under this kind of situation. So these mutant already has a capability to escape immune system's pressure as well as anti-drug treatment. And that's how those mutations emerge, especially in South Africa. That's E484K. This is also mutation in the spike protein. Now, of course, this is just one mutation, but there are also other mutations in spike protein as well in other open reading frame or non-structured protein of the virus. So virus not just using one mutation. So let's keep in mind, a lot of time media only talk about one particular mutation just for easy for people to remember. But the virus strategy using several mutations, a combination of different mutations to break through the immune system. All right, so when they have these mutations, and you can see the cases of COVID-19 has a huge surge, right, in United Kingdom in the last couple of months. And in South Africa, the problem probably started earlier. In the summer, they already have this escape mutant emerge, and because so far away, because less media report, because of their poor public health system, the mutant strain just become so dominant in the area, but it's not enough attention to the global media. So right now we have these mutants, similar mutants emerge in Brazil, in Japan, in China, in Russia, all immune escape mutations. So we can see the pattern. The virus already in this stage now is no longer at a stage they want to identify high transmissibility. They already established their stage, and now they're at a stage to further establish these immune escape mutants. And the next one, I think the next strategy for the virus is just to further enhance its pathogenicities to causing bigger harms, more severe disease in the human population. So of course, when the virus can break through the immune system's defense, it will bring more patients to the status of like being hospitalized, more severe disease. But I think overall the virus can further evolve to gain additional pathogenicity just through additional mutations. So basically, I think this year's situation is a lot more challenging than last year's. Last year, the virus just tried to get a larger footprint globally, identify fastest growth advantages, and then develop some immune escape mutants. And this year, they want the immune escape mutant to become dominant globally, and then quickly take many people's their health away. Put many people into severe disease condition. I think this year is a lot more devastating than last year. That's my quick overview. So.
Yeah, so effectively what you're saying is that the virus is it's behaving almost like a military, where it's going out, it's establishing ground, and then it's maneuvering out from there to take more ground, essentially. But how, and it's learning from its environment, right?
Yes.
So how is it able to, if you're saying that when they're using the plasma treatment and the remdesivir, that it's learning from those treatments to almost form an escape route, so it can not be put under the pressure of these treatments? Is that correct?
For example, in the convalescent plasmas, there are a pool of different antibodies, right? Polyclonal antibodies against different part of the virus. And each antibody recognizes one epitope, one antigen epitope. So, like for example, the virus have a spike protein. It has so many different epitopes on its surface, right? Because it's like, imagine in the 3 dimension you have these spike proteins. So many parts it can bind different antibody, right? So these are called the different epitopes. So in a convalescent plasma, a patient has these different kind of antibody, maybe bind to different part of the spike protein, as well as binding to different part of the non-structured protein as well. And there are also epitopes for cytotoxic T lymphocytes too. So these are the different immune mechanisms, right, can attack the virus. So virus know, all right, under this pressure, I have many weapons can target me, right, target to different weakness in my virus body. So they try to mutate. So I can change my conformation, change the shape of my spike protein or non-structured protein, or what kind of epitope can be present on the cell surface being recognized by T cytotoxic lymphocytes. So they can change the conformation, can change the epitope presented. So in this way, they can make the antibody in your convalescent plasma not working, or maybe making your drugs not working when some of the drug was trying to block the spike protein's interaction with the receptors. So basically, that's how the virus evolved. They know how many weapons you have, right? Just for example, you have different, for example, long-range missiles. Just an example, right? So if as a virus, I know you have many long-range missiles. Now I need to mutate. I may be closer to you, so your long-range missile may not attack me. It's just an example. Or you have a short-range missile. I move further away. You cannot hit me. So the virus have different strategy to avoid your different weapon, basically.
Yeah, and I think we've seen something similar before with the overuse of antibiotics.
Yes, exactly.
But this seems to be a little bit more sophisticated and faster than that. That took a while to kind of show in society.
So the antibiotic situation is also a very alarming situation globally, actually, and just because the abuse of the antibiotics. So many super bugs, right? Antibiotic resistance bacteria strain emerged in so many different parts of the world. And similarly, right now, the virus can develop some drug resistance strains too. And in the past, other viruses definitely develop drug resistance. That's why, for example, for HIV, the successful one is cocktail therapy, because you have several drugs targeting different process of the virus replication mechanism. So it can relatively effectively suppress the virus replication. If you just one drug being overused, the virus quickly develop mechanism to avoid this drug.
Given the fact that, in your view, the treatments that we're using are causing the mutations, we've just had an enormous vaccine rollout in the United Kingdom. I think the world is kind of watching the petri dish that is the United Kingdom right now. So, what does that mean for the vaccine program? Will that also cause more mutation? Because they've already said that the vaccine can't stop you getting it, it can't stop you passing it on, but it may help reduce the severity. So, will the vaccine cause more mutations, do you think?
The vaccine not necessarily causing more mutation, in my view, but the virus can have the strategies to develop some vaccine resistant strains. And actually yesterday, I just saw the report from Moderna. They produced this mRNA vaccine. So their recent report studied the vaccine-generated antibodies response to some of the emerging mutants, like the one from UK, the one from South Africa, and they found out the antibodies neutralization capability against the South Africa strain was only about 1/6 of the capability compared to previous circulating virus strains. So you can see the efficacy for the vaccine has significantly dropped just from these one experiment. So of course, when company produce this report, they still try to bring a very positive aspect. They talk about the company, of course, they can upgrade the design of their mRNA vaccine, so they can do additional design based on the new emerging mutants, so people may need additional boosts, or the vaccine can have a different upgrade version. The company can talk about this from a very positive aspect. But for me, when I read in those reports, it was actually very alarming report showing the virus already has escaped mutants, and the vaccine's protection effect for current version of the mRNA vaccine could be rather limited than previously tested in the phase 1, 2, 3 trials. So that already suggesting, well, the virus already outpaced our development of the vaccine.
Join me next week for part 2, folks, where we discuss other dimensions, spirituality, and what we can all do on an individual basis to help combat the CCP virus.